Alright, hello. Welcome to the stream, Mookie. Big game tonight? Yeah, we got a couple of games left to finish off this Clan War. So, without much further ado, let's get underway. We'll be starting off with our final land battle, which will be Big JP versus Dog Person. Wicked was not able to play, so Dog Person is subbing in for them. So, let's get on to our final land battle of the night. As you can see on the screen, the score is currently 5 points XMT, 10 to RTK. 10 RTK has a strong lead, but XMT is not out of this just yet. They still have the potential to come back, so let's see how they do. Hop over to the game. That is not the game. There we go. We got a Skaven mirror. So, for anybody, just like you saw yesterday, for any of you who tuned in, we are playing on the Mize land battle mod, or land battles with capture points mod. So the big difference is that there is a capture point in the center, so draw kiting isn't really a thing. Attacking rules don't need to be manually enforced, and also baked in a lot of the fruit rules unit caps. The other big difference is that there is no army losses because the mod is based off of domination mode, so there isn't really an army loss function. It's just a matter of holding the capture point to the end of the game. Typically, you don't actually reach that point. You get to the point where one person's army is practically gone and they end up conceding, since army loss isn't actually here, but we'll see what actually happens for this game in particular. And I need to pop out chat so I can actually see you guys. With it's not bad. It's still pretty early in development, so there are some kinks here and there, but for the most part, it's a pretty good experience. It's nice playing land battles without having to worry about, the big thing for me it solves is not having to kill really obnoxious single entities in the super late game, like, a Sigvald or a Malice that normally you wouldn't be able to kill at all. You just don't have to. You can just sit on the objective, and as long as they can't chew through your entire army in time, then you'll still win, which for me is a big plus. But it's not perfect. The capture point does flip pretty quickly, which means it is prone to being cheesed a little bit, but I'm not really sure how you would fix that. Because otherwise it can be very easy to just not capture the point, so then it'll be nice to have a few more maps, because it's not a whole lot of maps just yet. What is it? Fuck off, Achilles. Alright, so in green we have RTK Big JP, and in red we have XMT Dog Person. So, let's see his Skaven builds. We got Ikat Claw on his Doom Wheel, Death Frenzy, Warp Lightning, Brass Orb, and Musk of Fear. Frontline of Clan Rats. For Skirmishing Core of Night Runners, Gutter Runner Poison, Gutter Runner. Okay, so 2 Gutter Runners, 3 Night Runners, some Marak Augury, a couple of Plague Claws, and some Wolf Rats. No other heroes to be seen, as far as I can tell. So, for Dog Person in the red, I am sorry I didn't adjust my camera speed, so this one is going to be a little fast. We have Poison Wolf Rats here on the flank. We have, looks to be a Molder Rush, led by a Warlord on a Brood Horror, Packmaster also on a Brood Horror with Running with the Pack to heal up any of the other Molder monsters, as well as that Warlord. We have Frontline of Skaven Slaves, backed by Clan Rat Spears, Clan Rat Swords, Rat Ogres, Pit Fighters, a Plague Priest of Plague and Vermintide, no lore passive, nothing like that. Rat Ogres, Clan Vulcan Tail Slashers, a Hell Pit, Clan Rat Shields, and some more Rat Ogres. Just a big ol' Molder Mash Monster Rush. So, this Molder Mash is very, very lightly armored, so these skirmishers can actually do quite a bit of damage to them. So, I'm curious to see if JP can actually kite effectively, and just kite out this rush and get that damage down. Though it is a little tricky, because a lot of these guys do have regeneration. The Hell Pit does, the Packmasters do, as well as that healing from Running with the Pack on the Packmaster. Though that is some nice damage coming in very early from the Skirmishing Core of Big JP. Dog Person doing their best to juke, but they are taking quite a few shots regardless. Getting some nice damage down on these big ratty boys. Now, I suspect, Dog Person's just going to run at this opponent as fast as possible. Just really want to get in melee as you do this pure melee force. Molecular Cavalry's coming in doing really, really nice damage. The Scourge effect as well is very, very devastating to the Skaven lines, as they don't have great leadership to begin with. But I don't know if they're going to be able to do enough before these lines clash. These lines are going to connect pretty quickly. So we need to make sure that JP really wants to make sure he delays the engagement as long as possible to get off as many of his shots as he can. Icket Claw's rolling up, just trying to get some shots off himself. Maybe cast a cheeky brass orb or here or there. Plague Caval's doing really nice damage to this Tail Slasher as well as some spears. Skirmish Shrinking Core shooting into Skaven Slayer is probably not the ideal target. Probably want to try between the Packmaster or the Rat Ogres, but Dog Person's not really presenting a nice target. It gets going a little bit deep. He needs to be careful he doesn't get punished by these Rat Ogres. He's getting some nice shots off. But he needs to be a little careful as he is fairly squishy for a Dooming Lord. With the Packmaster and the Warlord coming as well, he needs to skedaddle right out there, which he's quite good at doing, as that chariot is fairly slippery. These guys are quick. They're much faster than him and apply poison, so if he's not careful, he will get caught up in melee, and that could be a huge loss for JP straight off the bat. Keep an eye around that. Plague Catapults, the lines are starting to collapse. The Hell Pit is going straight for those catapults. Minkit does seem to be getting away. He'll have no problem just drifting right through the front line. What do we have coming in there? I'm not sure what spell that is. That's a Death Frenzy upgraded. That'll do really good work. These Rat Ogres are just steroided out of their minds, getting right in the front line. Skirmishing Court is still online, doing loads of damage. And that Hell Pit is coming in the backfield. It's going after some Rat Ogres. But honestly, these Wolf Rats and the Rat Ogres actually do quite a number on this Hell Pit if it's not careful. So it's going to turn around and try to get back to the safety of its character core and try to get on Icket with them. But they're kind of deep in enemy territory without a whole lot of support. The front lines are actually trading pretty evenly. Looks like Dog Person's the front lines are doing pretty well with the help of that Plague spell, as well as just their superior numbers. But this Hell Pit's taking a lot of damage. The skirmishers are on it. The Wolf Rats are running away, trying to peel the enemy Wolf Rats off of their catapults. I'm not sure where JP's Rat Ogres have gotten onto. They're just trying to chase off that character core. I feel like this skirmishing core really needs to get back towards the center of the fight and start chipping down some of these big single entities. Maybe the Plague Priest, who is probably your Swishy's target. You can eliminate that magic. But JP does have a pretty healthy value lead early on, and nobody's actually opted to even take the point yet. Dog Person seems much more interested in just getting in there and killing off his opponent's rats. And so far, it's not going too well for him. Taking a lot of damage early. Hell Pit's getting punked down by the Night Runners. Does have a lot of healing and therefore regeneration, as well as too horrible to die, which may or may not proc. But he needs to be careful. He's taking a lot of damage. He has to back off and regen that. Try and punish Icket. And Icket's in a little bit of a precarious situation here. Sorry, today is going to be a struggle. Daylight Savings was not kind to me. But Icket's already taking a good chunk off his HP, and unlike his opponent's character, he doesn't have any healing available. We have the Packmaster back here on top of these Wolf Rats, trying to get back in the backfield, tear out them off, get them the Plague Claws. Plague Claws are being compromised by Dog Person's Wolf Rats. That's a pretty big loss for JP, as you're trying to kind of relying on them for the extra leadership he will sit in the front line. On the far side, on the right flank, JP seems to be pretty dominant. His skirmishers have done a good job of working as opponent's infantry, but they have used a lot of their ammo. The skirmishers on the left side have used pretty much all their ammo to just about out, so they're basically just a melee unit at this point, which they aren't bad at that job. Catapult crew is running away. The skirmishers are trying to come in and punish this Packmaster, who is isolated. This could be a big catch, but on the other side, we are getting a big catch on Icket as well. Pit Fighters as well as some Rat Ogres. Now, Rat Ogres aren't ITP aside from the ROR, so they could be in a little bit of trouble. We have Brass Orb coming, trying to bail them out. Rat Ogres trying to punish the Hell Pit are just getting minced apart. So the capture point has finally gone over to the hands of Dog Person, but JP's forces seem a little bit spread out. He's just trying to control all of his flanks, and it ends up leaving Icket a little bit isolated in the center, just surrounded by Rat Ogres. Now this Warlord can come in as well and do some good work. He's quite a strong duelist on his own, so Icket needs to be a little careful. He needs to get back to the safety of his own blob. Rat Ogres in the back are getting punished by the Skirmishing Corps from Big JP. The bug from the net is still driving me crazy. They still haven't fixed it. We got a, what is that, Plague coming in. Big expensive spell, dodged away for the most part by Big JP. Skirmishers still need to get away as they do have lots of ammo. But Icket is being hunted down by these Rat Ogres and this Molder blob coming from Dog Person. There's not a whole lot left on the field from JP to kill it. Most of his skirmishers are low on ammo. These ones have a fair amount. I don't know if it's enough to kill all those big single entities. With that many spears left on the field, it's going to be a little bit of trouble. Kind of wish he had something like, maybe the Council Guard or some kind of elite spear unit in the back pocket, but I feel like a lot of his value is tied up in this Plague Claw Capital crew that's not able to get on their piece, because that piece is the center of the blob fight right now. And this is actually a really nice position for the Hell Pit to be in. Like, look, he's got it right in between the Plague Claw Catapult models, so it can't even be surrounded that much. Not many of JP's models can get in melee with this guy because of all the catapults being in the way, so he's actually in a really, really nice spot. It's really hard to punish a single entity in a position like that, because you just can't get a good surround on it. Oh my god, that net bug is so irritating. On the far side, looks like some of JP's forces are mopping up a few characters from Dog Person. Casting mirrors is difficult. Get a few of Dog Person stragglers, getting some nice trades, but on this side, he is losing out pretty heavily. You got some claimants rallying off in the distance, not super relevant. And yeah, the skirmishers are starting to run out of ammo. So we're actually looking pretty rough for JP. He's up in value, but a lot of his killing power is gone, and these hell pits and the pack and the, all the single entities still have a lot of healing left. The Warlord's still not his healing cap. The hell pit, you can't even see the healing cap. There's still loads of HP on that. There's not a whole lot on the field left to kill it. The one skirmisher that has a lot of ammo is getting chased down by Skaven slaves. They should be able to take them out. But they really need to get them out of there and get them safe. I'm not even sure if these guys have enough ammo to kill that hell pit, let alone all the other characters. JP looks to be in a pretty rough spot. Without Flensing Ruin on Naked Claw, which is kind of surprising, there's just nothing here to really kill all these SEMs. I feel like a Flensing Ruin here could be doing loads of work, but JP just opted not to bring it. I'm not entirely sure why. I feel like he just really is missing out that single entity killing power. Because like Overcast Flensing Ruin on this blob right here could potentially win him the game. It could kill off that Warlord maybe, get him very low at the very least, do a good chunk of damage to the Hell Pit, kill off the Rat Ogres, and put JP in a really dominant position, but he just doesn't have him on the field, and that really hurts. I feel like it's really hard to pass up on that spell. So, I mean, Death Frenzy is fine for these kinds of fights. I feel like Flensing Ruin is just so much better. Now, the skirmishers are back online. They are throwing in their little ninja stars. The problem is that right now they shoot the Plague Priest, who is a very small target, and one that you could probably kill just by grinding with your infantry. You really need to be shooting at these big guys. They're much harder targets to kill, get rid of the Terror Sources, and it could just keep on Tokyo drifting out of here. Another Death Frenzy, but it's just on a single Clan Rat Spear, so while they are suddenly a decent spear unit, which they never were before, they don't really have the means to actually tie down these entities and beat on them. They're just kind of forced to fight whatever's around, but still even getting terror, or just routed off naturally, not even a terror route, because they are ITP with Death Frenzy, I believe? Yeah. But still, their leadership breaks, as is prone to happen with the Skavens, so this is actually looking pretty dire for Big JP, despite the value lead is closing, but he still got 600 value lead, and that's a nice Plague cast from the Dog Person. The Skaven are scurrying away from them immediately, but the damage is done. I mean, look at that big boy. Oh, that spell's so cool. I wish it wasn't so overshadowed. Problem is, all these skirmishers, there's one skirmisher with 5 volleys left. There's so much HP on these single entities left. Now, like I was saying at the beginning, part of the mod is that you don't have to kill the single entities, but in order to do that, you have to actually take the point, which JP has not had the control of the point at all in the game, which is kind of, his game plan. He was going for a more skirmishy, kitey style, but, this is him paying the price for that style. And the value lead is closing rapidly. It gets going down. I don't think there's much way for JP to kill this single entity blob from his opponent. Oh my god, that net bug. Please, CA, please fix the Gutter Runner net bug. For anybody who don't know what that sound is, this ability, every time it triggers on an enemy unit, it triggers the sound of net environment talk. That's the sound effect you've been hearing, and it drives me crazy. So the Warlord is just trying to chase down Naked Claw. He does break up the pursuit as the skirmishers do start to target him, and he's pretty low, so he probably wants going to get the Wolf Rats, or the Hell Pit, or the Packmaster over here to try and chase him down, as they are much healthier. Well, except for the Wolf Rats, but the Catapult crew is still healthy, but there's no shot it gets back on these catapults with so many big SEMs around. Like, look at these big boys. They're not letting you anywhere near that catapult. Oh, I love Hell Pits. They're so cool. Anyway, Hickett is hanging on by a thread. He's only got about 700 hit points. The Warlord is doing a whole lot better. Yeah, he's got about 25 hit points, a little bit of healing left, but it's just a lot of skirmish without ammo. And yeah, JP agrees that there's just no way to kill those single entities. Yeah. I don't know, this Molder Rush kind of style build seems very strong in this Skaven mirror. Like, the style you expect out of Skaven is more of a box with weapon teams, or catapults in this instance, maybe they're skirmishing. This is a pretty typical Skaven build, but for the mirror, I feel like just going with this monstrous rush, Skaven have a very hard time protecting against that. Killing all these single entities is very difficult. I mean, you could shoot with, like, Giselles or something, or maybe Rattling guns, but they're so hard to protect from all these big, fast SEMs, plus the Wolf Rats, plus all the infantry rushing at you, so I don't know, I kind of like this build from Dog Person. Though I feel like Flensing Ruin is just so hard to pass up on. Kind of surprised neither of our players took it. Yeah, it only got 600 value. That hurts. Gutter Runners and Night Runners did good work, but they just weren't enough to actually carry the day, unfortunately. So, that is... Okay, so... Dog Person taking the dub for... XMT in the Skaven mirror in our final land battle. So let's bring XMT's score up to 6 and potentially the beginning of a comeback. So that is, as I said, our final land battle. So I need to restart my game and switch over to the domination mod. And then we'll go into the domination 1v1s we have remaining. We have Dog Person's Beastmen versus Drakons' Vampire Coast. And then Flying Tacos, Bretonnia versus Houseplant's Slaanesh. And then we'll go into our final 2v2 to close things out. Is it Healing Blob Armorland experience? Yeah, kinda. Is that much late? Nope, that was our first game of the day. And it was a fairly short one. No, this should be a pretty short stream. We don't have that many games. We covered a lot of them yesterday. Now we have Drakons' Vampire Coast versus Dog Person's Beastmen. Also, my chat is just turning into an RTK meme fest once again. Only fancy games left, gotta see him, yeah. But Taco has it easy, unless defeat Houseplant. Then that's too easy, so SP Slaanesh. You know, RTK wanted to make a statement, I guess. Taco is a legend, after all. He's a very, very scary player, so he couldn't pull punches. They had to just full send. Houseplant is overrated? True. Houseplant is pretty bad at the game, after all. That turn could beat him? I don't know about that. Alright. So, why is it doing... Okay, so... Now we have RTK Drakons on Vampire Coast, and once more we have XMT Dog Person, this time on their signature Beastmen. So, for Drakons, we have Silostra with the good old Silostra summon, nothing else, because she will be used to drop that summon, then be desummoned. We have 4 pistol mobs straight out of the gate, heavy shooting. We have a bunch of zombies, zombie halberds, depth guard halberds, well, polearms, excuse me, a bomber, more depth guard, deckhand mob polearms, animated hulks, and polearms. A lot of anti-large, a lot of light shooting. Classic anti-beastman fare. Because as Coast, you have 2 goals. Kill the Minos, kill the Raiders. You do those, you're in a pretty good spot. Silostra kills the Raiders pretty well for you, as well as the caster that I assume will be summoned in fairly soon, and then the pistols and the halberds do good work against the Minos. For Dog Person's Beastman, we have Morgr the Shadowgrave. Kind of like this guy here. He's impossible to kill, and his summon procs pretty easily. Is this summon that takes effect when an opponent's unit gets below 20% HP, which against undead procs very, very easily. And then he just has a more traditional summon of his own choice. So double Chaos Spawn summon can be very nice, especially getting on top of those bombers or those pistols. We have Butchers of Kalkengard Minos. We have Mino Great Weapons. We have Pit of Shades Caster. Nice choice to kill the Depth Guard. Ungor Spear Herd. Looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Ungor Raiders. Ungor Spear Herds. And Blackhorns Ravagers. Okay. Nothing too outlandish just yet. Alright, hold on. What is happening in chat? I'm winning not... Okay. Okay. Like I said, RTK meme fest. I also forgot to change my camera settings. And if I do it in-game, it'll turn off my debug camera. And we can't be having that. So, we can just fast forward a bit as the army's posture. Beastmen are just so much faster and get on the map a lot quicker. Probably pretty good for them taking the engagement far up because they do reinforce quite well. So they can actually hold this line reasonably well against the Coast, who do have reinforcements closer, but they're so much slower, so it doesn't really matter. Archer Fire is coming in. Ungor Raiders doing really, really nice damage to pistol mobs, who are fairly squishy for a Coast unit. They have about 75k HP, 7,500 HP. Knights Summon coming in, getting on top of those Raiders. No Lance Formation, though, looks like, so do alright in these Mino Great Weapons. Mino Great Weapons are, on paper, a counter to them, but they are ethereal and AP and terror causing, so they just have really many nice stats. On top of the Raiders doing some nice damage. Fire's being changed on the other side. We've got a big Pit of Shades coming on this Coast blob. Get some of those pistols. Drakons felt bad about how few pistols got caught, so he's walking some halberds into it. There's that spawn summon coming in from Morgr. Looks like that was the passive one being used. Yeah. So automatic summon coming in to clean up these pistol mobs. A Wind of Death coming in, deletes. What was that, 2 Ungor Raiders? It's just one-shot an Ungor Raider. It's just gone off the field. Far side, the Night Summon is pushing back the Beastmen pretty heavily. Ghost Infantry just follow it up. In the center, despite the Pit of Shades, the value trade is going pretty heavily in favor of Dragons. Although I expect it didn't actually count the Pit of Shades value because the value counter is just kind of buggy. But so far, it does to be looking pretty good for Coast. Taking out those 2 Ungor Raiders, Wind of Death feels really, really good when they're your primary counter. Those light archers have always been the bane of Coast's existence. They're all completely lightly armored, as well as slow lumbering targets. The now Beastmen have planted their feet on 2 objectives, both 1 and, is that 3 over there? Yeah, both objective number 1 and 3. So now Coast has to go and push them off, and looks like Coast is opting to push them off of both simultaneously. Trying to take the entire map and just trying to dude wall their way across the map. Coast pushing up on this side. No bomber, well, a single bomber here. They can kill these Ungor Spearmen eventually, but that bomber needs to get all the way over here first. Someone's coming in, we head to more Gore Herds. On our side, we have some Scurvy Dogs and some Animated Hulks. Nice fast reinforcements. Morgar's just grinding in the center. Bombers are firing away into the destroyers of Drakwold, doing some nice damage, but the destroyers of Drakwold plus the Butcher of Kalkengard will deal with most things. But something they won't deal with is the Bloody Reaver deck card. These guys are chads in melee. 28 BVL, 62-54 melee stats. Like, they're just insanely strong in melee. With the Vampire Fleet Captain to back them up with doing the Death and Invocation, they will tear apart even an ROR Mino like the Butcher of Kalkengard, and just look at the damage they're doing to these guys. So fast. Back on this side, the blobs have collided. We have some Centaurs coming in. Centaurs actually do pretty well against Zombie Pirate Deckend mobs because their melee stats are just so trash. They'll grind against them pretty well. They don't want to stay in melee, but they'll do good damage on the charge and then back off. Nice bomber volley coming in to game the Ungor Spearman herd. Looks like we do have a second wave of Ungor Raiders coming in, which could be pretty devastating. There's not a whole lot left here for Drakons to actually go and get rid of those Ungor Raiders. They're going to be completely free to just fire in. I'm going to see Celestial resummon to go actually take out those archers. Otherwise, they're free to just sit back and do DPS as long as they like. Plot fight in the middle is going pretty well for Coast, I'd say. The Ungor Spears aren't going to last a whole lot longer. As soon as he has Wind of Death available, that blob is gone. And the Death Guard pull-arms are getting on top of the Ungor Archers, doing some good damage. Pistol Mobs coming in, more Animated Hulks coming in, and then that Ungor Raider second wind is going to be kind of nasty to deal with. That said, Dragons and Ghosts get on the objective number 1 and are starting to flip it. Ungor Raiders are all along the edge of the cap point, so they are slowing down a little bit, but not enough, as there is a tide of undead bodies coming in. Morgar's moving his way over here. On this side, we got a nice Pit of Shades, doing as much as they can to the Death Guard. But they are pretty low model count, so it's actually not super effective, although it is one of your better options against them, as Beastmen do struggle to kill those elite halberd units. So, cap goes over the favor of Coast. This one's going to go flip pretty soon, too, as soon as the Animated Hulks get here, as well as these pistol mobs. They should be able to flip it just in a moment. Don't know what the Wind of Death is. Maybe I missed it. Maybe it's using Invocation. Not entirely sure. Minos coming in on this objective. Pistols, stacked pistols feels really bad. They're not firing, so obstructing each other, so only the ones on the edge are firing. Those Minos, these archers actually not going to be taking a whole lot of damage. Now the problem is these halberds have to go so deep to actually catch these archers that it's just really easy for, Ungors to be summoned in or Centaurs to come in and recharge them, and really easy to punish these halberds. And they just have no real support. And any reinforcements they want to have come in from so far away, and the coast reinforcements are really slow. So kind of wish we were seeing a little bit of tighter play, as the value of lead does finally swap into favor of Dog Person on Beastman. But Dragons has acquired a 3-cap, so if he can hold on for just a few minutes, he can actually put his opponent in a pretty rough situation. But there's not a whole lot left on the front line for Coast. Their front line is starting to thin out. Their halberds are pretty deep. The archer line just ready to tear them apart. Doing some nice damage. I mean, they're not entirely firing, I feel like. Man, where's the volley fire? Did nobody train you? We train you to work as a group? No, probably not. They're Beastmen. Another Ungor coming in over here. Again, a very nice choice to kill all the lightly armored coast units. This Bloody Reaver Deckhand mob or Bloody Reaver Depth Guard is going to be a real nuisance for Beastmen to actually get rid of. But Morgar should grind against them pretty well, as well as this, what's it, Bright Shame of Shadows, doing alright against them. But honestly, their melee stats are so high, they'll do pretty well into foot characters just as well. Butcher Kalkengard did get away from them at last and do get onto these pistol mobs and just start somersaulting right through them, as they are an exceptionally squishy unit in melee, as their melee defense is only 6 to, what's 51 melee attack? Yeah, that's not going to go well for those pistols. Dog Person is starting to flip the cap on Objective 1 back in his favor, as he is wearing down all of these halberds. No real Depth Guard here to really anchor these units, so there's nothing really here to be up that linebacker that they need. Slaanesh Summon is coming back in. Not really sure there's many targets in the area, though. There's some Ungor Raiders, but they're very, very deep. have to charge past several groups of enemies to actually get there, so they may just charge in this blob fight, which may do a good job terrorizing these gore herds, but I didn't really see the lance formation coming in. Not really sure why he's not using that. This should do some good damage and get some nice terror routes. But these gores are actually holding on for a surprising amount of time. They're very low health, but their leadership is holding, which is not something you really expect to see from Beastmen. So you're kind of surprised by that. Objective number 3 does seem to be also flipping in favor of the Beastmen. The coast seems to just run out of steam, whereas Beastmen are going to get their second wind very, very quickly. As I said, they reinforce a lot better. So while coast reinforcements are just lumbering their way towards the objectives, Beastmen's forces are already in the fight, especially since the fight happens so deep in the Beastmen's territory. It's just so hard to reinforce this as coast, and Beastmen seem to be actually just skyrocketing away with the value lead very, very quickly. Morgar is completely untouchable in the center objective. This Vampire Fleet Captain is actually in a bit of trouble. He's going to get surrounded by Minotaurs. Even Morgar gets in there and helps him out. You could lose that character very, very quickly. Although it's not the end of the world, it's not the Lord, but losing your caster still does hurt. And it looks like capture point 1 has officially gone in the hand of Dog Person, and now all these leftover forces are pushing into objective number 2. And even more Ungor Raiders all the way in the back here. Like, these Depth Guard are just being strung out. They can't catch these Ungor Raiders, they're just getting crossfire, and this is very, very good kiting from Dog Person. It's not letting him get on top of anything with these super elite halberds. It's not a whole lot of targets, unfortunately. Pole arms coming in, pistol mobs coming in. Don't know if it's going to be enough. There's just not a whole lot of bodies left on the field for Coast, and that's really what Coast excels at, is just spamming out bodies. So, not having that feels really rough. They're not in a 3-cap situation, so Coast does have to retake one of these objectives. Looks to be the focus on objective number 3. Pit of Shades coming in, catches about half the pistol mob. They do some good damage, but those are only 300 gold units, so it's not the end of the world for the Coast player. Halberd's coming back in, but there's just such a meaty blob here. We got, Razor Gores, we got Minotaurs, the Butcher's Count Guard, just absolute chance. They're still alive, 130 kills, no value because they're fighting zombies. Anime Hulks left alone against anti-large Minos is going to go pretty poorly for them. And Thor Throwing Axes as well, coming in and do some nice damage to Anime Hulks. Yeah, it's looking kind of rough for Coast. They were looking pretty good at the beginning. They got the 3-cap, they had the value lead, but now the value's just skyrocketing in favor of Beastmen. They got a second wind. It's just too much for the Coast to bear, and Dragons does tap out. Dog Person putting another point on the board for XMT. Yeah, I feel like that the right flank towards objective number 2, like the Coast was just got strung out so much chasing those Ungor Raiders. They just got pulled apart and got kited very, very effectively by Dog Person. I wonder if it wouldn't have been better to just focus all your efforts on the other side, onto objective 3, win the blob fight, kill off some of those Minotaurs so they don't linger around. But then you give up the 3-caps. Oh, well, you don't get the 3-cap, but I feel like you can probably hold that a lot longer still. Centaur's doing good work. Wait, oh, what did I just move? Oh, I took RTK's score and ran away with it. So yeah, that's another point on the board for XMT. And that is... Now we need this. Oh, what did I do? Hold on. We got... Boop. Then we've got... Boop. Alright, and now I need to fix those camera settings because my scroll speed is incredibly fast. Alright, before we get the next one, I'm going to run to the restroom real quick. I'll be right back with you in a moment. Alright, we are back. Is this chat still just roasting of the houseplant? I support it 100%. Sigma. Alright, so next we have the plant himself on Slaanesh versus Tacos Bretonnia. Oh, game, please don't crash again. Not this again, please. Game, I'm sorry, Alt-Tab. Thank you. There we go, we're not crashing. Okay, so. Slaanesh, Bretonnia. Slaanesh is kind of an interesting one. We don't, it's like Giga OP, but that means we don't actually see it in tournaments a lot, because it's very, very, like, it's almost always banned. Like, 99% of games, it's banned. So we don't actually get to see it a whole lot. So a lot of people don't actually know what it does or how it plays to actually make it so OP. So should be a treat to see the man himself, Houseplant, playing it. Show us just what's so OP about this faction. Now, Taco's no slouch either. He's a very, very good player, and Bretonnia isn't a terrible faction. They can actually do some pretty good punch-ups. I've had some really good success with them into like things like Walk or Doom Kings, some of those mid-tier factions. Well, Walk's an upper-tier faction, but like you can see people beating vampire counts with them, so they definitely got a shot here. Anyway, so for the forces of the Prince of Pleasure, we have Prince Siggy the Magnificent, Big Shocker, Paragon of Excess, All-Work Armor, nothing else. We have a Pit of Shades caster, looks like he's on foot. Front line of Chaos Warriors. Chaos Warriors are just a solid choice into a couple Marauders as well, in the Mirror Guard. They're a solid choice into Brett, as Brett doesn't have a whole lot of AP options. They're kind of reliant on they got like 3 AP units on their roster. It's like Trebs, Foot Squires, and Questing Knights. Actually, I think it's like some of the Super Elite Cav is too, but like they just really lack armor piercing. So Chaos Warriors are always a nuisance for them. You really rely on Fae to kill them. Fae and your Foot Squires, of which Choco did bring none. Interesting. He brought lots of spears. He brought frontline peasant mobs backed up by men-at-arms spears without shields. Beast Slayers of Baston in the back. Peasant bows with no contact effect, no fire, no poison. Paladin, double paladin, one with guardian, one without. The Fae on her pony with Favor of the Fae, Chalice Potions, Earth Blood, and Dwellers, and the lore passive, and her Mortis. And then a single unit of Grail Guardians. Just this pick's kind of weird, but I was actually testing this in this matchup the other day. They actually dumpster Hellstriders, and they can even kill Chaos Warriors one-on-one. Like, if you charge them to a Chaos Warrior, just leave them there. It takes them forever, but they'll kill a Chaos Warrior. They'll kill several Hellstriders back-to-back. I don't know how well they do surrounded, which could be a little bit a concern, as well as Slaanesh army abilities could be really, really challenging for them. But if they're given fair fights, they'll destroy Slaanesh units. Now, this is Houseplant, so I doubt he's going to be able to get fair fights for free. He'll have to work pretty hard to actually get those fights, but that unit can definitely perform if given the chance. Then there's polearms coming in, just loads and loads of bodies. And one of the biggest problems I found in this matchup for Bretonnia is actually the rate at which Slaanesh charges their army passives. Their passives work when they charge it when they're killing routing enemies or units in negative leadership state that get damaged by Slaanesh units. And well, peasants rout very, very quickly. And actually, I'm noticing, okay, there's 2 Grow Leaks. There are Grow Leaks, I missed those. But even still with Grow Leaks, these peasants only have 55 leadership, so they'll rout very, very quickly, which means Slaanesh gets those army abilities pretty fast. Houseplant's had some reinforcements coming in, just a spear to sit on the side objective, probably just to hold it, as he does get the envelopment on this Bretonnian formation right here. Faye is pushing up, just trying to get some free damage on these Chaos Warriors, along with her 2 bodyguards, or boyfriends, depending on who you ask. Is she going to try and get a cheeky spell off here, or just trying to drain them down with their Mortis Engine effect? Miss the lady, just doing passive damage. Now here reinforcements coming in. We do have some Knights Errant coming in, as well as some more men-at-arms polearms. Far side Houseplant does seem to be summoning a whole lot. Faye is pulling back after doing some nice damage, interrupting the Slaaneshi advance. Spearmen charging in, but Spearmen are no match for Chaos Warriors. They will be getting dumpstered very, very quickly, and Tucker realizes that just runs away. Interesting, just trying to slow down his opponent's advance. Trying to shoot him with as many arrows as he can, get the Grail Guardians in there, do whatever he can. And do we have... No, just a bunch of Bretonnian Sigilties. Sigild's over there. Caster's coming as well. And this is a very, very tight Bretonnian formation. I'm really worried about those Pits of Shades coming in, as well as the Siggy debuff aura. Be pretty problematic. Hellstrider's coming on the far side. Should do pretty good work against those Knights Errant. So we got Chalice of Potions coming down. Come on, give it to me, Faye. Sweet, sweet Faye damage. Yeah, you really need that from Faye. She's your best answer to Chaos Warriors of all types. Between Chalice Potions for Mortis and Dwellers, you really got to rely on her to do a lot of heavy lifting. Grail Guardian's interesting. They're being used in the front line almost like a monster's infantry, and they're doing pretty well. They're a very, very tanky unit for a Cav unit, and now with Favor of the Fae, their damage output just skyrocketed. It's a really, really long melee attack buff, gets them up to 76 melee attack, and they're destroying those Chaos Warriors. And that's one of the things you gotta do to actually take out these guys. Now we got a Pit of Shades coming in for Slaanesh, and that's gonna get a lot of those Grail Guardians. It's gonna hurt a lot. Oof. It's a lot of damage on a really expensive unit, as well as killing the peasant mob underneath. But that damage on the Grail Guardians. Now, if it doesn't kill the models, Faye can heal them up, which looks like they're not actually losing. They lost a model. Lost 2 models, so Faye actually can heal up a lot of that damage, so it's not that bad. And the heal comes in immediately for Taco. Getting those Grail Guardians back up the fighting value, they really need to be the ones to carry the fight here. On the flank, Hellstriders are being chased around, but Fascination comes in on those Knights of the Realm, and now they're just going to get sandwiched by 2 different Hellstriders, but they're just destroying them. Knights Errant. The problem for a lot of Bretonnian Knights is that they rely on their collision damage, which relies on their mass, their armor, but that doesn't really affect cavalry units because they have enough mass of their own. They have a really hard time actually dueling other Cav units. Now, Slaanesh Caster has capped Objective 1, which Bretonnia has decided to ignore for the time being, just focusing on the center fight and trying to win it, which is fair enough. They really need to actually kill off these Chaos Warriors. It's not going to matter, they'll grind through. Siggy has gotten in the back line, and he's very, very hard to remove. If you send the double Paladin after him with Favor of the Fae, they can do alright, but you're better off just ignoring him as much as possible. You know, if he eats a Peasant Archer each minute or two, you're probably okay with it. But the Chaos Warriors do seem to be thinning out and being pulled away to try and chase down some of these cavalry units. Hellstriders are doing a very, very good job mopping up the Bretonnian Knights to the surprise of nobody. More Hellstriders coming in. Again, shocking, I know. Big old Dwellers coming in. Gets a double up unit. Oh, that's a nice Dwellers from Taco. That's the perfect target. Gets both these Chaos Warriors and just starts tearing them apart with that damage over time effect. Doing really nice damage. That's what you gotta do. You gotta find those really, really money spell casts from Fae to actually kill off all these Chaos Warriors. For any of the Chaos factions, anytime you're facing Chaos factions in Bretonnia, you gotta find a really juicy spell cast if you want to pull off the frontline fight. Beast Slayers and Bastion are sandwiched, and they're not gonna last that long. They do have 50 melee defense, so they'll stay alive pretty well, but they're not gonna win that fight anytime soon. Fae in the middle is just mortising down some Chaos Warriors. Fae with her Paladins and her Grail Relique. But even so, Slaanesh is still holding the center objective, as peasants are all expendable, which means their capture rate is practically non-existent. What is that sound effect? He's fighting off over here, and now there's just a nice Cav Blob over here. Good old Cav Blob for the Cav Blob God. Knights of the Realm coming in, Knights Errant. Knights of the Realm versus Hellstriders is depressing, I'll be honest. But they do seem to be doing pretty good damage here. Injured Hellstriders are not faring so well. We do have Fascination coming in on the Grail Guardians, who have come over here and left Fae all on their own. And they're so low without any healing, they are going to be losing models very, very quickly, that their leadership should hold for quite some time. I wish you could see their banner, but yeah, they're so slow. They're so low, surrounded by infantry and Hellstriders as well. Looking to be in a pretty rough spot. Back in the start, we have Pit of Shades coming in, getting some Spearmen, catching a couple of different units. As they're still firing in, but the value lead is solidly in Household's favor, as well as a triple cap, and this is looking pretty dire for Taco. He needs to get back on these objectives. He needs to get there soon. Comet coming in does seem to be mostly dodged. Yeah, there's a little bit of damage to the Mirror Guard, but they've, for the most part, got out of the way. Where is Siggy at this point? Siggy? No, Siggy made his way over here to chase off some archers. Looks like the Bretonnian Cav are retreating from Objective 3. Slaanesh has won the day over there. Probably going to see some of them rotate back towards the center to try to reinforce their main force. Maybe just try and cycle charge some of these Chaos Warriors that have gotten off on their own. Try to clean up whatever you can, and then like regroup for another offensive, but it's looking rough. Another Dwellers coming in, trying to finish off these Mirror Guard, but these boys are so tanky. It does get nice damage there. It's a really nice cast from Taco. But there's still a lot of healthy Chaos Warriors. They're just so difficult to deal with. And Faye, you know, Faye's putting in work. She's already got 2,500 value just off these spells and her Mortis effect, but it's just not happening fast enough. Taco's trying to creep the value up, but I worry about this because Bretonnia does not reinforce that well. Their Knights, especially when their Knights aren't trading very well in Hellstriders. Their infantry reinforcements are pretty bad. They need to be around Grail Reliques. They need to be bunched up together to actually have the leadership buffs. On their own, their infantry really, really struggle, and their Cav do not seem to be trading well into Houseplants Hellstriders, and the army ability is just punishing them at every turn. So it's going to be a pretty dominant showing from Housebound Slaanesh, which I guess nobody's super surprised by, but still, this is looking pretty brutal for Bretonnia. He slays the Bastion, despite favor of the Fae, are falling to the forces of Slaanesh. Sweet Sorrow coming in to refresh the vigor of all these Chaos Warriors that have been fighting for so long. It's their vigor back up from what? They were almost exhausted, and they're only tired. Getting their melee stats back up. Just keeping that pressure on. More Knights coming in, Defenders of Fleur-de-Lis, as well as Knights Errant. The Hellshire is just pouring into the gaps. Chasing down the Knights Errant wherever they can and tearing them apart. It's super brutal. Another Dwellers coming in on the Hellstriders. Don't know if I love this. I think you really need it for the Chaos Warriors, but it does get it's still a nice cast. It catches two Hellstriders. It's a Pit of Shades on the other side. Gets some pole arms as well. Good damage. The problem is pole arms just cannot kill these Chaos Warriors. Even the Voted Marauders will tear through peasant pole arms. I feel like these guys would have killed that pole arm even on their own. They're just so tanky. At this point, Taco does have to get a 3-cap, and I just don't see a way from back on these objectives. His main army has died. His infantry doesn't trade them well enough. I feel like you really need those foot squires in your front line. Your only AP option, they're your only anti-infantry option. They're just the only front line that's ever really performed for me for Bretonnia. I feel like you just gotta have it. Faye is trying to put the team on her back up to 3,300 value, just draining down the Chaos Warriors. But Siggy seems to be coming for her. Her days do appear to be numbered, but just does do anything enough. Housebound up to 6,900 value. Nice. The Slaanesh, Slaanesh gods are pleased. The Slaanesh gods? That's not how that works, but you know what I meant. Slaanesh is pleased by this action. Objective 3 is just full of Slaanesh infantry. At this point, honestly, Housebound could just start spamming out infantry over here and just reinforcing this and making this the world's most impenetrable box and still win. I just don't see a way back in this for Bretonnia, though Taco's going to give us a valiant attempt, but I don't see this working out for him. And Siggy is going to start hunting on the Fae. He has to be the prettiest one on the battlefield. She cannot be left alive. Sigvald will not stand for this. Or he's going to slow walk around her and just strike a pose. That's okay, cool. Bye, Siggy. Go fight some peasants instead. Okay, Siggy, do what you will. Who am I to tell Sigvald what to do? Okay, you do what you want, Sigvald. Yeah, the value lead is getting very out of hand very quickly, though Bretonnia is starting to retake Objective 1 with a massive offensive from Knights, Defenders of Fleur-de-Lis, Knights Errant, doing good work, but Chaos Warriors are pouring in, as well as Siggy just hounding Fae out. At this point, I just don't feel like there's enough time. The Knights are doing good work. They're trying to take down these Marauders. The Marauders will do very good work against. They do very well into lightly armored infantry. The heavy armored infantry is a problem, as well as these Hellstriders coming in from the reinforcement point for Slaanesh. Now Taco is trying to bounce back towards the center objective to try and clear this out. There's not a whole lot of bodies here, but like I said, there's still all these Chaos Warriors and Marauders over here. That'd be a nightmare to deal with in the late game. Slaanesh forces are starting to thin out, but Taco's on a tight clock. He's got to get on these points very quickly. With a nice fascination from Housebound, gets the Defenders of Fleur-de-Lis tied up in a cav fight with infantry support. These Hellstriders will actually really overperform, which is saying something for Hellstriders. More cav coming in for Bretonnia. Knights of the Realm trying to come in and finally finish off these Mirror Guard, who have just been hanging in there for this entire game. They don't have a lot of value, but they've just derived so much punishment. Siggy chasing down Peasant Bowman wherever he can, slamming between some Marauders. Looks like the cap's going to go back in the favor of Slaanesh. Slaanesh punishing Brett for having the slightest inclination of thinking they could capture an objective. How dare they, after all? Yeah. Housebound showing why both he and Slaanesh are the best of the best. Looks like there is an infantry offensive on the far side, but these men-at-arms... It's quite the stat comparison there. I don't see them retaking that objective. It looks like, yeah. Blood fight is upon us. Siggy is grinding against the double paladins, but without AP, without Henri Le Massif, there's no way these paladins were actually going to kill this Siggy in a reasonable amount of time. Even if they did, I don't think it's going to be enough to get Taco back on these objectives in short order. And Siggy is doing a great job of beating them down. Even if I'm not doing a great job showing it on camera. Or Siggy's just T-posing, as Siggy is wont to do. Again, he can do whatever he wants. He's the Dark Prince. Yeah. Paladin is getting an unholy beating from Slaanesh style, and that looks like all she wrote. Taco gave it a valiant attempt, but yeah, Houseplant is just too difficult to overcome. And to everyone's great surprise, Houseplant Slaanesh puts another point on the board for RTK. So you're doing good work, the Shades guys are doing good work, and like, I feel like Chaos Warriors are just the biggest thorn in Bretonnia's side. Like, I've been playing quite a bit of Bretonnia lately, and like, yeah, I feel like you have to have foot squires. I don't see any way to deal with Chaos Warriors if you don't have 5 foot squires. Like, you'd bring 10 foot squires if you could. They're your only real AP option. You just gotta have them. You can try questing knights, but when mobility is as contested as it's going to be against Slaanesh or Walk or Khorne or anything like that, like, I feel like you just have to have a front line that can actually kill the enemy Chaos Warriors. Faye putting in the work, by the way. 41-69, loads and loads of value. Yeah, Faye has to carry really hard, even with the foot squires, but I don't know, like, the pole arms just don't do much other than feed Slaanesh passive, like army passive. I feel like you can't even bring peasant mobs against Slaanesh because it just gives them fascination, and fascination is so devastating to your archers, to your cav. I don't know, it's definitely an uphill battle. Alright, so back to our scoreboard. Houseplant takes RTK up to 11 points. And let me just... Alright, and boom. That is the last of the 1v1s decided. Now, we have one more game, and it is our final 2v2. We have RTK Sandwich and Valkanos versus Serica and Solo Spaghetto. So, let's get this show on the road. We'll catch up with the chat while we load in. Guardian sound look lovely here. Perfect Vigor's insane defense. Yeah, insane defense. 10 AP, yeah. Yeah, Girl Guardians are, if they weren't so expensive, they'd be the choice. The problem is, like, Fascination is just such a liability, or like, it makes those elite cav units such a liability because Slaanesh always has a way to get a good engagement on you. That's one of the things, like, even if Slaanesh units weren't overstated, that's one of the things that just makes Slaanesh so hard to play against. It's so hard to get good engagements against them, especially with cavalry units, because one Fascination rampages them, and they get recharged by Hellstriders, and you're just so punished. Like, in the hands of a top tier player like Houseplant, you're never going to get a good cav engagement with them, and it's so unfortunate. Taka forgot about all the Slaanesh armor. Yeah. Knights Errant are a bit of a poor choice. I feel like you don't have a better choice. Like, you just need some kind of mobility control, but I don't know. Like, even Knights of the Realm lose to Hellstriders, so it's like, well, you can spend 700 and lose to a Slaanesh cav, or you can spend 950 and lose to Slaanesh cav. So you just don't have a better option. Got triggered too hard by the Striders, so it's only Knights Vow mission. No killing house on Slaanesh. Realm Knights and above body Striders? I don't think so. Bretonnia Hard Time Knights, heavy infantry. Yeah. Yeah, the infantry is the real problem. Matchup isn't that bad. Talk about armor and thought about Marauder spam. Yeah. Yeah, that'll do it. It is a tough matchup. It definitely is. But also, yeah. Slaanesh is a tough matchup for Brett, and Houseplant is a tough matchup for anybody. Yeah, let's just absorb the nutrients of talk. Okay. They do win at Hellstars? Okay. Still pretty hard to get those good engagements, though. Multiplayer unit roster videos? Thanks. I would do plan on getting some more out soon. I'm trying to learn how to, like, edit videos so that they're actually, like, visually appealing, because right now it's just me lecturing in a screen, which I don't think is that entertaining for anybody. I'm trying to figure out how to make things better. Anyway, on to our final game. So we have Sandwich and Valk on Beastmen and Tomb King. So for Tomb Kings we have Grand Hierophant Kotep, Restless Dead, the Lich Staff. The Lich Staff is so troll in 2v2s because it just increases your opponent's cooldowns. Just so your opponent can never really get spells off. It's really obnoxious. Incantation of Desiccation, not something you see that often. You just see passive spam, the 2 cheapest. I suspect this will probably be good in the Mino Blob fights, which, since Beastmen Minos are inferior to Khorne Minos, it's pretty nice to have that little bit of extra help. We got Catapults, we got King Hash's Scorpion Legion, we got Tomb Guard Halberds, Tomb Guard Swords, Tomb Guard Halberds, Halberds, and Tomb Guard and a Necrotect. So just Tomb Kings providing infantry, and that looks like Beastmen are fighting some Uncore Raiders as well as Minotaurs. And Minotaurs with actual good infantry under them, which is something Beastmen can't really provide, sounds really devastating. Like the Halberds or the Tomb Guard plus Beastmen sounds really devastating. We have a Jabberslithe, which should be good against the low leadership of the Greenskins, causing terror, as well as the Mortis Engine, which only affects units that are low leadership. Be really, really devastating. Then it has the, what is this ability? Squirting Bile Blood, just a vortex effect. Really nice chaff clear and just blob clear as well. Minotaur Great Opens and a Bray Shaman of Traderkin. Yep, nothing too surprising there. On the far side for XMT. Shameful. XMT not wearing their clan tags. SMH in a clan war. Shameful. We have Grimgor Ironhide with Bloodforged Armor, Gitsnick, You're Next, and Foe Seeker will really do a good job putting the hurt on those Minos, as well as that Jabberslithe if he can get his hands on it. But kind of surprising not to see Wurzag. I feel like his global passive is going to be very, very effective on Khorne Minotaurs. We got Orc Biggins, Chaos Knights of Khorne, Knights of the Brazen Throne, Skull Crushers of Khorne, a Herald of Khorne, and just, geez, the heaviest of metal for Khorne. Just all the elite cav with a Herald to buff them up and give them melee attack bonuses. Oh, that's some heavy metal. It does really well into Tomb King's infantry, but I worry about it trying to fight those Minos. Chaos Knights are going to start with the Minos. Skull Crushers are anti-large, but I haven't really seen them perform all that much in the past when I've used them. Granted, I haven't tried them very recently, but I really worry about these guys trying to fight into the Mino Blobs. The Mino Blobs, the Traderkin, even the Necrotech with the blinded effect is going to be really troublesome for these guys, so. And all the Halberds, I don't know. There's not a lot of good targets for them. But if they can get, if they can get in the backline, if they can get on the basic Tomb Guard, I wouldn't even notice the Black Orcs off on the side. Sorry, ADHD. If they can get on the soft targets, on the sword, on the Tomb Guard swords, on the Uncore Raiders, they'll tear them apart, but there's just not a lot of good targets for them. More Minos coming in for the side of Beastmen. More Savage Orc Biggins coming in for the Greenskins. It looks like both sides are gearing up to fight over Objective 2, which is very common on this map. Pushing for either of these two bottom objectives is kind of difficult, so close to your opponent's spawn. So very often we do see an unholy battle for objective number 2, which makes sense that we have this big contingent of hidden Black Orcs stalking through the trees. Not something you see that often. Black Orcs aren't considered all that stealthy. I believe it's purple orcs that are the stealthy ones. Black is not a stealthy color. So, what do we got coming in? We got more Skull Crushers. Normally, I like this kind of build would be really, really devastating if it was paired with something that had healing for them, like Ogres or Nurgle. But without healing, I feel like these guys are gonna take a lot of damage, especially if any Bow Shopped here in the back pocket of the Tomb Kings. Even Spolkro Stalkers will do really good damage. And yeah, there's some Spolkro Stalkers. They'll tear those guys apart. Mostly at range, they really won't be in melee, but they are anti-large at melee, so they'll do just fine still. But just look at this line, of Ungor Archers backed up by all of these Minos and Elite Infantry. This is looking brutal. We do have some big guns coming in. They'll do pretty well in the Minos. The anti-large bonuses are quite nice. Well, 8, but, for infantry, that's pretty good. Grimgor as well, but the Archer Fire is starting to rain in on the unshielded big guns, unshielded unarmored, as well as the Gleaming Skull Catapult. More Minos coming in. Way over here. And Morgoth's Mage Marauders. Pretty common pick for the Greenskins. Just a really, really fast effective unit. Hopefully we can get in here and kill this Jabberslithe, because otherwise he's going to do a number on these big guns. Grimgor is going straight for the Jabberslithe, to no one's surprise. That is like the ideal target for him. And there's not a whole lot of answers to Grimgor for the Tomb Kings or Beastmen. I guess we got anti-infantry Minos that can do alright, maybe Traderkin, but for the most part, Grimgor's going to do whatever he wants. This slide is getting punished immediately. It does that animation where it just jumps right through. Skull Crusher's on it, the Herald's on it, Grimgor, Locust of Wrath is popped. There's not a whole lot here to peel for it. There's some Minotaurs coming in, but they're not anti-large. The Jabberslithe has to run away. Bray Shaman as well. We do have a Traderkin coming down on them as well, doing some nice damage, as well as Biggins streaming in towards the back line. Raiders are trying to turn and fire. They're getting pressured by the Black Orcs. Morgrim's Mage Marauders doing a good job with the Minotaur. Great Opens. Black Orcs actually trade pretty well in Minos in a 1v1. Without the infantry to support them, they can actually take a lot of damage very, very quickly. Grimgor is caught up in some anti-infantry Minos and some Halberds. Not a nice spot for him to be. The open field, not a lot's happening. There are a lot of Chaos Knights and Skull Crushers not really in the fight yet. Sepulchral Stalkers are starting to fire in. This is the problem. The Skull Crushers are just taking so much damage so quickly. And the thing is, they have so many models left alive. There's healing available for them. They'd be just able to just heal up and get a ton of damage back. But as is, they're in a lot of trouble. And the value for Sandwich is spiking pretty hard. That trader can get them a lot of value. The Slide is over here just tearing apart these Black Orcs. This guy actually gotten value yet? Yeah, not bad. Not terrible. But these Sepulchral Stalkers are just tearing apart those elite Cav units. I've already gotten 350 value. Grimgor has gotten onto the Bray Shaman, and Kotep's right there too, so they need to be very, very careful about their characters. If their lords die, that could be a pretty big hit to the Beastmen. Their leadership is not very good, and without the lord, it's just going to plummet very, very hard. Reinforcements coming in, we have the Butcher's Captain Guard as well as the Kepler Guard. Very elite units coming in support, which is one thing that's really nice, but 2v2s, you can see a lot of elite units. So Grimgor is going to kill this Bray Shaman. Even if the Bray Shaman survives, he only can cast Turrican Undercast, or he might die from overcast damage, so he needs to be very, very careful. We had a couple of rogue Black Orcs. Now they're trying to chase down the Ungor Raiders. They're torn apart by Minotaurs. Jabbersly's coming in to kill the Ungor Raid, or the Great Bray Shaman. Not doing so hot though. Chaos Knight Charge is coming in. Do quite well. Team Infantry is very, very light on mass, so they do quite good damage. Minotaurs are catching out some of these Skull Crushers as well as the Chaos Knights. They'll do good damage there. They are unsupported. You have the Catapults coming in, and oh my goodness, the Minotaurs are tearing them apart, but not without taking a lot of damage in return. But anyway, looks like the Bray Shaman is routing off. And the thing that's nice about 2v2s is you can actually resummon this guy pretty easily. He's not that expensive, and you have so many excess funds. Just so you're so low in how many units you can bring. Grimgor is a little trapped now. He's got the Jabberslide and the Centaurs on him, but I don't think the Jabberslide he wants to be fighting him. It does have anti-infantry bonus of, wow, 25. That's more than I thought. Maybe he's alright. Maybe he's alright. But the point is currently in the hands of RTK, although it is starting to... no, it's getting secured. The Greenskins are routing pretty heavily. Black Orcs are going. The Morgrim's Mage Marauders are going. Spider Riders pouring in, but they're not going to do a whole lot against the Eyes of the Desert, the Armed Constructs with anti-large of their own. Do pretty good work. And the value for Sandwich is just skyrocketing. He's got more than both of his opponents combined. That's not even counting his teammates' value. That is rough. Now, there is still a large contingent of Armored Cav here on the field, but with, there's a Heralds of Khorne Sphere as well. Just so much elite Khorne Cav. But I feel like it's just not accomplishing a whole lot. Just caught fighting Halberds and elite Spears. A couple of Minos as well. It's just not really doing a whole lot. I'd like to see it maybe even just go straight up the center. There's not a whole lot here. Just take this objective, get on top of these catapults, swing around into the Cav and into the Ushabti. As is, they're just out here taking shots from the Chosen of the Gods and taking loads of damage. It's looking kind of rough for Khorne. They're losing their elite units for not a whole lot of return. Over here on objective number 2, the Greenskins are just routing en masse, which is what Greenskins are wont to do. That's kind of their thing. They're out faster than Skaven do, it feels like. Orc Shaman has come in with Foot of Gork to get them good damage down, but I don't know. I feel like they've lost this battle on the objective number 2 very, very heavily. The value lead for Sandwich is just insane. Valk is like keeping like neck and neck with his opponents, but damaged up about 4,000 value on his Minotaurs and Traderkin alone. I should see, where'd that Shaman go? What's his value on the Traderkin? 1850 on the Traderkins, jeez. Beastmen are just doing so much work and pushing so far into the Greenskin spawns over here. Ungor Raiders completely uncontested, just firing in and doing tons and tons of work. They've only spent half their ammo. They've already almost paid for themselves. Well, one of them did. Yeah, I feel like this Khorne Cav was just so late to the fight. It's only just now really getting enmeshed, and the problem is they're fighting Halberds. Like, this is not the ideal target, but there weren't really many ideal targets on the field for them. Now they're getting crossfired by the Eyes of the Desert, who have already done so much work. They just love tearing apart this lead armored Cav, but now Serica is doing what I was talking about, just pushing up the gut, trying to take this objective. But now there's more Halberds coming in. There's so much anti-large power in this Tomb King Beastman army. Even Centaurs coming in to try and screen out the catapults. By the time the Halberds get over here, what do we have? Got any anti-large Minos? No, we got a Manticore coming in as well. These guys, I don't think they're ITP. Oh, no, they are. But is it because of Frenzy? It might only be because of Frenzy. Not really sure. So now, Centaurs aren't going to do a whole lot against these armored Cav units, but they are buying time for their Eyes of the Desert to try and crossfire, as well as the Chosen of the Gods, the Shopti Greatbow ROR. On the right side, the Greenskin flank has just collapsed. They've got a single of Night Goblins who are unbreakable, trying to hold down the fort. But the Greenskins are just routing, just running for the hills entirely. We got the Rusty Arrows coming in as well, but like there's nothing to protect them. There's nothing to stop all these units from just running straight at them, and the Cav are just getting collapsed on. I feel like the Greenskins just engaged too early, and Khorne wasn't ready for it, so there wasn't a whole lot of support. So basically a 2v1 for a lot of the fight, and then they're really paying the price for that mistiming. Manticore is heading after the Herald of Khorne, doing good damage. The Herald of Khorne isn't the greatest combatant in the world. He got pretty good when Locust of Wrath is popped, but He's mostly supportive characters. The Manticore and the Centaurs can actually do pretty good work against him. Over here, what do we got? Oh, that was a nice foot of Gork? Sword of Corn? One of the two. I didn't actually see it. Sorry about that. But Objective 3 is actually going over the favor of all these Tomb Guard halberds, and that will be the 3-cap coming in for Team RTK. Looks to be a pretty strong showing from Sandwich and Valkanos. Butchers of Kalkengard are just in lodge so far in the Beastmen spawn zone, and these guys are so hard to kill. Even with the Rusty Arrows lowering their armor, getting some damage from the side, they're just so tanky. 56 melee defense on Monster Infantry with regeneration and terror. They're so hard to kill. Jabberslide is just on the point, cleaning up whatever stragglers do get past those butchers, alongside the Kepler Guard, who are here secured as well. And the Eyes of Death are just being completely uncontested in the midfield, just shooting into whatever elite cav unit they feel like. These Tomb Guard halberds are just such a pain in the side of Khorne. They're just such a nuisance. Like, Khorne just is not equipped to deal with all of these elite halberds, all the healing from the lore passive as well. Not to mention all the supportive fire coming in from both the Ungor Raiders and the constructs from the Tomb Kings. Rangers do seem to be getting a second wind a little bit. They got Savage Orc Biggins, but they will not stand up to the Kepler Guard. Kepler Guard are nasty. Some Savage Orc Biggins routing the backfield. Jabberslide and the Necrotek fight on top of each other. These guys are actually blinded though, so melee stats are practically non-existent. The Jabberslide is just killing them off for free, though its Mortis Engine is ineffective against the Unbreakable Night Goblins. The Butcher of Kalkengard are on top of the Rusty Arrows, charged by the Spider Riders, but Spider Riders aren't going to do a whole lot to this super elite Minotaur unit. Looks like Tomb King's control of Objective 3 is starting to falter. Morgoth's Mage Marauders are back, as well as a unit of Khorne Knights Lances. And Centaur's going to try to get on top of the Spider Riders, but they are quite low, and that means the Chaos Knights should be able to clean up all these Tomb Guard, although the Halberds will still do quite a number on them. Manticore is in the midfield trying to bail out the Sepulchral Stalkers, as well as the Chosen of God just firing over the top, who've already, I assume, accrued so much value. These elite Khorne Knights just feel like they've been such a good target for all of the Tomb King shooting. This is looking rough for the boys in red. Jabberslide is in on the backfield, going on top of those Rusty Arrows. The Greenskin leadership really feels like is hurting them. Yeah. Centaur's trying to bit nailed on these Chaos Knights Lances, buying time for the Minotaurs and the Sepulchral Stalkers to catch up, and just trying to run off the Herald of Khorne, who is popped with a Relentless Rage to make him unbreakable. I mean, that's not only going to last another 10 seconds or so, and then those Minos are going to feast. Finish him off, run him off the map. I think that's it for the red team. Not a lot of points left on the field. They do have to reverse 3-cap at this point. There's just not many units left on the field. They're down only 12 units combined, whereas their opponents have 26. Less than half of their opponent's force. Look around, there's just no real killing power left alive. There's a single Skull Crusher being brought back on the field. Should do alright into some Minos, but they're just so outnumbered. They might beat one-on-one, but there's Halberds, there's Minos, there's Anti-Large Minos, there's Sepulchral Stalkers, there's Boshabti, there's characters, there's Traderkin. Like, how do these guys carry? I don't see a way for Red Team to get back in at this point. I think that's going to be the game going to Sandwich and Valkanos. Yeah. 200 points remaining for the green team to actually take this away. Tomb Kings do have a pretty solid hold on all 3 objectives. Halberds and Kepler Guard just stationed on these ones. Ton of Halberds just being stationed back here, and they realize their opponent's at the 3-cap, so he's just sending all the infantry he can to objective 1. So, you know, even if something goes terribly wrong on objectives 2 and 3, all of a sudden, there's no way they're going to break the box setting up on objective number 1. Butcher of Kalkengard are still back here in the Greenskin spawn zone, holding so many of the units away from the point. Now, they're dying for it, but they've already paid for themselves, just about, and they're just buying so much time and so many resources here in the backfield, especially with the Jabberslide as well. Looks like the Orc Shaman has been resummoned. Don't even know how he died in the first place, to be quite honest. A little chaotic on the battlefield, there's this many units. The blob fight on 3 does seem to be going pretty well for the Tomb Kings and the Greenskins. The Elite Halberds are doing quite well against the Chaos Knights. We have a nice old foot of Gork coming down, though. Oh, Gork it to me. Beautiful. Doesn't do a whole lot to constructs and monster infantry though, so not a whole lot of value off of that one. Orc Shaman does a lot of kills though. He did do some good work for Gork, but that is going to be RTK taking our final 2v2 and our final game of the Clan War. Well, let's check the value and then we'll head back to tally up the score. Appreciate it, and the Traderkin's doing good work. Jabberslide, yeah. I feel like I think the Greenskins just couldn't hang in the fight. Their leadership really working against them here. Turns out Minotaurs are good units, for anybody who didn't know. It's a very good unit type. Yeah, Halberds providing that really good support for the Minotaurs. Yeah, and how do you deal with the Halberd plus Mino blob as Greenskins Khorne? I just don't feel like they have a good answer to it. Okay, that's nice. These guys did all right, but it just wasn't enough. And I feel like the delay on the engage really hurt them. Just all cav from Khorne. I feel like there was just a really disjointed engage. Greenskins went in, and Khorne, the cav, was just not in a position to actually follow up on the engage. So, RTK was actually able to take a 2v1 for a large portion of the match. Alright, that is our final game of the Clan War. So, let's make it all official. And RTK's score goes up to 13. And that's our Clan War. RTK taking it 13-7 over XMT. GG, well played to everybody who played. Thank you guys to XMT for coming out and playing. It was a really fun event. Thank you everybody for stopping by casting. Let's catch up on chat real quick before we get off. Yeah. Maybe RTK is actually pretty good. I wonder. Also, at least went full meme mode. Had fun? Glad you had fun, Circa. Khorne Army 8 out of 10. Remember, did okay. Did I catch a domination stream? Hey, no problem. I plan to have another one probably Friday night. Gonna have a 2v2 tournament. That's all being hosted in Turns Discord. So if you want to stop by, love to have you guys. Sandwich is so weak in this game. True. True. Crow, even you demolish Sandwich regularly. Casting play straight face. Hey, I try. Can you play it as such? I try. Anyway, thank you guys all for watching. If you're interested, Flying Taco, one of the XMT's players, will be casting this from his perspective. I think he said sometime next weekend, so the link to that is in the description. You want to check out Taco's stream and get his take on all the battles. So that's something to look forward to if you're interested. Then, yeah, like I said, Friday we will be having a 2v2 tournament that I'll be casting. So if you're interested in playing, please, that's all in Turns Discord if you want to check it out. And I'd love to have you guys stop by and watch. So, on that, thank you guys so much for watching. Had fun casting. I will see you guys